What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the first official episode of the Name, Image, and Likeness Show with Robbie Dixon. That's me. I appreciate everyone tuning in. If this is your first time tuning into the channel, drop a like, hit the subscribe button, share with a friend. I would really appreciate it. If you saw my short video that I posted, I believe 2 or 3 days ago, kind of outlining what this weekly show is going to look like, great. If you haven't, I recommend you going over there, but I'll give you a quick rundown of how this show is going to work moving forward. So it's going to be a weekly show strictly dedicated to name, image, and likeness. I believe I mentioned it over there, but I don't think anyone else is doing a YouTube show that's strictly dedicated to name, image, and likeness, and that's something that I wanted to do. I think that it bodes well for this platform. I think it works well with this platform as well. And I'm really excited to start on this journey. A little bit about myself. I'm a former Penn State student athlete. I swam from 2015 to 2019. I then went and I was an assistant coach during the 2019-2020 season with Michigan State, where I also earned my master's in sport coaching and leadership. When COVID shut us down, I decided to come to law school, and that was kind of around the same time that the Alston decision happened. So NCAA Alston was June of 2021, kind of led to states permitting athletes to receive compensation for their name, image, and likeness. And then I started law school August of 2021. So it's pretty neat that I've been kind of gaining legal knowledge as NIL has been taking off, and it's something that I'm constantly studying, and that's a big reason why I decided to make this show. And so the structure of the show, as I kind of mentioned, it's going to be 3 segments. Number 1, it's going to be the top NIL deals of the week. Then after that, probably top NIL news. Followed by, lastly, it's going to be an innovative NIL deal. So I'm going to basically, I don't know how to describe it perfectly, but depending on where we're at in the season or semester, I'm going to come up with an NIL deal that I think should be happening, just because I think it works well with, like I said, the time of the season that we're in or the semester. And that's going to be kind of how the show goes. I don't have a set time limit or time goal. It's just going to be what's happening in the world of name, image, and likeness. I'm very excited about what NIL has allowed student athletes to do in these past 2 years, and I'm super excited for the future of name, image, and likeness, and it's something that, I hope to be in for a very long time. I want to be in that space. And help college athletes, kind of capitalize off their marketability and off of NIL. So first is always going to be the top NIL deals of the week. We're always going to jump right into that, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen, but my number 1 NIL deal of the week is definitely Shedeur Sanders posting his merch links at halftime during the Stanford game Friday night. So I'm sure everyone saw that Stanford blew a 29-0 lead that they had at halftime. And during halftime, Shedeur was on his Instagram and he posts his merch links to his own merch. It's definitely a way to get to market yourself and get, when you're already at your peak, right? So at halftime, people are talking about the game, especially with the hype surrounding Colorado. You bring more people in. But you can't be doing that. You can't post during halftime of a game. I don't know if it was a scheduled post or not, but regardless of the fact, NCAA rules, you can't post during halftime of a game. So I'm sure that you won't be seeing that anymore. But hey, one way to take advantage of when all eyes are on you, post your merch links during halftime of a game. Only problem is you probably shouldn't go out and blow a 29-0 lead to Stanford and lose 46-43 in overtime and throw a pick in double overtime to pretty much seal your team's fate. But hey, more power to you. I'm sure it actually generated a lot of traction on his website. So that's my first NIL deal of the week. My second top NIL deal of the week is definitely Caitlin Clark securing a deal with State Farm. If you don't know Caitlin Clark, she's entering her senior year for the Iowa women's basketball team. She captivated a lot of eyes during last season's March Madness tournament, especially during the national championship game when her and Angel Reese, were trash talking, going back and forth with each other. Angel hit her with the "You Can't See Me," which was Caitlin's famous signature move that she would do against opponents. So she signed a deal with State Farm, first college athlete to sign a deal with State Farm. So I think that's really cool, not only for women's sports, but also just for college athletics in general. She's a trailblazer. She's absolutely crushing NIL. And I think one thing that's super cool is that not only is she crushing NIL, but it's not taking away from her performance on the court. So I think if you look at it, she averaged 27 and 8 last season, while also shooting almost 39% from beyond the three-point line. So she's an absolute baller on and off the field, clearly. Some other NIL deals that she has a partnership with Nike. She has a partnership with Bose, Buick Automotive, H&R Block, and that's just to name a few. She also had her own basketball camp that I think she sold out pretty much immediately. And so she's an absolute stud when it comes to name, image, and likeness. Probably one of my favorite college athletes. Just because, like I said, she's not making money at the expense of getting better on the court. And that's something that I think is super impressive and something that's probably very hard to do, while also balancing a full, class load to being a college athlete. So she's my number 2. Number 3 is a team-wide deal. I don't think this got a lot of traction, but I think it's cool because it's very unique. And this is Kansas softball. They signed a team-wide NIL deal with Integra Insurance. I don't know too much about Integra Insurance, nor do I know a lot about Kansas softball, but as part of this NIL deal, juniors and seniors have the ability to go through insurance licensing and training, as well as earn the opportunities for internships. And so I think this is a really cool career opportunity for a lot of these women. I haven't seen a lot of deals structured like this where there's opportunities for internships. So not only are you, given licensing and training, but you also have the opportunity to build your career portfolio, which as a student athlete, there's not a whole lot of time for that to work into your schedule. So I'm sure that was part of the NIL deal, was finding ways to make sure that these women can balance their school, their responsibilities as athletes, and still get opportunities to intern with Integra Insurance. And so I thought that was a really cool, really neat NIL deal opportunity that I don't think got a lot of attraction. So those are my top 3 NIL deals of the week. And then when you kind of move on into our second part, NIL news of the week, probably, I don't know if this is big news or not big news. It's kind of repetitive at this point, but the U.S. Senate Committee on the Judiciary, they're going to hold a full committee hearing on, I think it's October 17th. And they've titled it, Name, Image, and Likeness and the Future of College Sports. And that's going to be at the Senate building. This is going to be the 10th hearing related to NIL. And I think what makes this one a little bit different is that NCAA President Charlie Baker, he's going to be testifying in front of the committee. So that's a really big deal, especially as he's, praying for Congress to step in and create a federal NIL deal, which, for the record, I think is a horrible idea. And I think it's a last-ditch effort by the NCAA, who is trying their damn hardest to get back the control of NIL. And I think it's a really bad idea, and it just makes the NCAA look, worse. Charlie Baker's been lobbying in Congress, like I said, for ways to regulate the way that athletes can receive compensation for their NIL. In addition to, Charlie Baker, the Big Ten Commissioner, Tony Petitti, and the CEO of Ole Miss's Grows Collective, Walker Jones, they're also expected to testify. So you get a good balance of people testifying and speaking at this hearing. I kind of think that it's going to go the same way that the other 9 have gone. A lot of these congressmen, they have no idea what name, image, and likeness is. They don't fully understand the good that it's doing for these athletes. And so I think we're just going to go around and around and around and around on probably a bunch of tangents, and nothing's going to get done. There's been dozens of bills proposed for federal legislation relating to college NIL and regulating that, and nothing's gotten done so far. So there's really no reason to believe that anything is going to come from this hearing. But it will be interesting to see what NCAA President Charlie Baker has to say. So this is his first time testifying in one of these hearings. Next, there's an NCAA subcommittee considering making adjustments to the NCAA guidelines that would grant schools a greater involvement in the process of athletes receiving compensation for their NIL. This is pretty interesting to me. It's going to be interesting, I guess, to see if these rules do get adopted, kind of the ripple effect from that. But some of the proposed changes would be to proactively assist, it would permit schools to proactively assist in the development, creation, execution, or implementation of an athlete's NIL activity. So I believe that this would allow schools to basically go out and secure these NIL deals for their athletes, which the current rules prohibit anyone from an athletic department from doing this type of stuff. Next is going to be provide services to support NIL activities such as tax prep and contract review. I think this is probably a good thing, further education and more resources for athletes when navigating NIL. I don't think it's ever a bad thing. So I'm behind that proposed change. Then the next ones is just kind of providing access to equipment to support NIL activities such as cameras, graphics software, etc. Another good thing. I think if you can help your athletes, put together good content when they're filming and recording for NIL deals, then these brands they're gonna like it. If you can put together a higher quality of product, obviously brands are gonna like that. So I think that's a really good proposed change. And then the last one, communicate with third-party licenses about opportunities for athletes, including securing specific opportunities. So this kind of works hand in hand with the first change. It'll allow basically these schools to go out and secure the NIL deals for the athletes themselves. So these are interesting things, interesting proposed changes that could be coming soon. And I think that's the part of the fun about NIL is it's so new that it's constantly evolving, constantly changing, and I think it's a really exciting time to be a fan of college sports. So that's my second piece of news. And then my third piece of news, probably the biggest, is Haley Cavinder. She announced she's going to be coming back for the 24-25 collegiate season. So Haley and her sister, Hannah, the Cavinder twins, probably two of the biggest faces of NIL. They dominated last year when they were playing for Miami women's basketball. They did do a great job of marketing themselves. I think they have an NIL deal with WWE. And then at the end of last season, they announced that they were done. They were seniors. They weren't going to pursue another season of college basketball because of their COVID year, or that they had because of their COVID year, and that they were going to be done with college basketball. And then it's pretty interesting to see that Haley wants to come back. She went on her podcast and talked about how much she missed basketball before, and then she made the decision this past week to return to the sport. So it'll be really exciting to see her come back for the 2024-2025 basketball season. I believe that she's going to continue to dominate NIL when she does come back. She's done a great job. Both her and her sister have done a great job of content since they left Miami, I believe in March. So there's no reason to believe that when she comes back, she won't continue to build on that momentum. And wherever she ends up, whether it's back at Miami, she is in the transfer portal now, so she can go anywhere she wants. But if she does return back to Miami, that'll be great for that team, and I'm sure they'd be really excited to have her. And I think it's good for college basketball and women's sports to have her, playing. She loves the game of basketball, as she talked about on her podcast, and if she wants to come back, then that's cool. She should come back. So that's kind of my NIL news for the week. And now, kind of my NIL deal that I think should be happening right now that I haven't seen a lot of, and maybe I missed it. So if I did, please drop in the comments, keep me informed, keep me updated. But with the change of weather, middle of the semester for these college students, everyone's starting to get run down. I know in law school, I think a couple weeks ago, there were a lot of kids out with sickness and the flu and stuff like that. why are we not doing an NIL deal with emergency? I feel like that's a staple in college, both for athletes and for regular students. I think that emergency could make a killing off coming up with an NIL deal, talking about, like I said, weather starting to get cold, fall coming around, middle of the semester, you're starting to get run down, kind of burning the candle at both ends, staying up too late, going out as an athlete, just long hours in the middle of a season for most college athletes. I think a deal with emergency would be super cool. I think there's a lot of potential for marketing with that and fun ways that you could have content. So I just think that would be my innovative NIL deal for the week. And that's pretty much a wrap on our first episode of the Name, Image, and Likeness Show. If there's something I missed, please drop in the comment section if there's an NIL deal that you think should be happening, top NIL deals of the week that I missed, or NIL news. Please let me know. I want to hear from... I need to be informed. It's hard to keep up with all of this stuff, and if there's something that I missed, feel free to drop it in the comments. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.